Hello, and welcome to Patreon for the People's Ascension. This being the after show for episode 42. And what an episode it was. Yes.
Great.
Yeah, this really went all kinds of directions. Like, literally, like 3 different directions for a while there. So
Not that long.
there's a lot to talk about, I think, and I think we did a pretty good job of pacing today. There was especially with the different ways that you guys were going. More on that later, I suppose. Because I was hoping that we'd either make it on a boat or on a teleportation circle and start next week off somewhere else. But I'm not disappointed that we didn't. So that's fine too. Okay, so let's jump into this and give the people what they paid for. So this was a crazy episode. Yeah, us rambling basically. Yeah. That's what we do here. That's what you're paying us for, right? I mean, I guess.
Hope so, because that's what they're giving.
Yeah. I mean, as always, if you have any feedback on Patreon, I think there's a feedback space here itself. But hey, jump in the Discord. Let us know if we talk too much, if we ramble too much, if there's too many tangents, or if you wanna hear more of this. If you want to hear
more tangents.
More tangents, yeah. Or
no more tangents, though, please.
Pay us for that.
Anyway,
oh wait, you are paying.
Let's see. Where did we start off? We started off right at
the start of the interrogation.
Meeting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interrogation.
Yeah, it was a lot less of an actual interrogation than I think you guys were assuming it would be.
Yes.
Orentius really just wanted a status report and a threat assessment after you guys were like, hey, there's a whole cult bent on destroying the world, and they're here. Okay, bye, we're gonna go deal with it. And then you came back, so he wants to know how you dealt with it, basically.
We didn't.
Just where we the first met. I was like sitting there going like, no, don't tell them they were just dead. Tell them we killed them, slaughtered them, done.
Aquila doesn't lie well.
At all. When it's best to.
That's when she is least likely to lie.
And then when telling the truth is helpful, you get all cagey and.
Yep. She's not good at social cues.
Charisma.
It certainly was an interesting meeting that you guys really just less so let Aquila take the reins and more jumped off the carriage.
I was going to say let her
there.
Let her hang out to dry.
Yeah.
It seemed fairly cut and dry. Just tell them.
I was thinking after we told him, hey, the tomb's been destroyed, they won't be able to get to the Maliba, problem solved.
I didn't think that was going to solve the problem.
Also, having Shliva in that room was clearly not good. And that was an excuse to get her out of there.
Yeah.
And since it was clear that things were conveyed to the powers that be, that we were just hired hands, it made sense that we... Like, okay, yeah, we'll follow along with the story they've been told and clear out.
Yeah.
Technically, Aquila did not tell them that story. They assumed.
Yeah.
But she didn't stop them from assuming either.
Yeah.
Because it seemed easier at the time.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, once again, querents are a big deal. You have a lot of leeway, a lot of jurisdiction. You flash your badge.
I know.
You don't get a lot of questions. You're basically an inquisitor.
I know.
So they give you a lot of rope, but if you misuse that rope, you're gonna hang. Yep. Okay, no, I think that scene played out in a way that really made sense. Whether or not it was efficient is a different story. But
When are we
it,
ever efficient?
it really played out. I figured it would either crash and burn real quickly, or you guys would talk your way out of it and go about your day. But I figured there was a high probability that it would happen as a whole. Instead, the group was separated, which I figured was an option, at least for Shliva. But if Shliva left, that means maybe somebody else would leave. Who knows?
Well, and
So
also getting Dima Leba out of there seemed like a good idea since she
Right.
didn't speak the freaking language.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, once everybody was separated, I knew it was gonna be way more complicated than the easier paths I had, prepared for. But as I DM more, I think less prep work, and part of that is just I have a lot of foundation to work with, and a lot of that is I'm getting better at improv. But
Practice
also,
is the best way to get better at it.
yeah. But also, at a certain point, your prep becomes irrelevant because the party goes and does something that really changes things. So I know I used to write pages and pages of prep work, and I'd be like, okay, I have the next 3 or 4 games prepped out, and then we get 3 hours into a game, like, well, I can't use any of this anymore. So I found dossiers to be the best way to prep NPC dossiers, faction dossiers, and just write down what their goals and motivations are, and just go from there. Especially if you know what those organizations are and the timelines and what everybody has planned. You got to have a good foundation for dossiers to work, but you don't need to write out every little interaction. So things could have went very differently if you had to fight your way out of the meeting, because I figured that was an option, having to fight your way out from Orentius, Black, and Kana. That would have been an interesting
But I was
confrontation.
very much going to try to avoid getting to that point.
Yeah. Or if you guys just tried to bolt, which was an option. There was a real big window. You guys could have just collectively just like jumped through the window and ran for it. I figured that was unlikely, but it's there. Who knows?
That one, you bounce off the window.
Yeah, boing. Tempered glass. Ye olde
Classic.
tempered glass. Ye olde double painting. Double
I was
glazing.
going to say
Yeah.
plate glass.
Or you guys would talk your way through it and just go about your day. And a lot of different things would have happened at that point. I figured it was going to be a lot easier for you guys to talk your way out of it and go about your day than you expected, because to be fair, we were this close to just ending the meeting.
Yeah, I thought we were pretty much done too. We were so close to being done with the meeting.
Again, it's like I can't
I
do
thought-
Rush to Air again. Not after what happened last time. I can't do that again.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when Akila asked to talk in private, I'm like, oh, it's probably just some other querent stuff that, whatever, fine.
It could have been. Because that was the thing, because she didn't say who Demon Luba was right away. But it was just one of those, like, I can't do it. I can't.
Yeah, so that really changed the trajectory of the game right now. Because I definitely had things prepped that could happen multiple different ways. And one of those was the inclusion of the Weavers. Ander, the rolls you made at the beginning of the game were for scrying saves. You failed the first one. So they knew you were out of the dungeon and making your way back. And then you failed the one that happened that day, sort of during the meeting.
Did he?
Yeah. He rolled a 22, but with the negatives, that was enough to put it underneath their DC. Because they're fancy, basically.
Yeah, fair.
It was close.
I
I
just
think
thought
it was like 17 to 18 or something like that.
Okay. I was just, it's like, really? He rolled? I thought I remembered him rolling pretty high
Yeah.
for that, but okay.
Yeah. When you get three three fairly competent spellcasters together to pool their magic, they can do some pretty powerful things.
Fair.
If they need to. The Weavers don't work the same way as most spellcasters do. I have them running on their own sort of rules. So that was one way that they got involved. But because you were running with D. Maliba from this issue, you were Ander, Shliva, Krushka, and D. Maliba sort of de facto allies at that point, and they were just like, "Hey, come along. I mean, you got nowhere else to be. Come hang out."
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that that was exactly what was going to happen. That one of them was just going to pop up and like, "Oh yeah, we've been watching. Get over here."
Yeah. If your plan was as a group to sell out D. Maliba and deliver her to one of these factions, or to leave the city without bringing it to the Weaver's attention, they were going to ambush you.
That was the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your plan was going to get us caught by them too.
Yeah,
well, then we can fight a lot easier than we can fight the state.
Well, I'm not fighting the state, am I?
Fine.
A lot more people.
There were several different ways that we would have gotten to quite an interesting, multi-sided, large confrontation. And I really like the one we had in that other separate holding room played out. I really like that fast-paced narrative, how things worked out. We didn't get overly bogged down in, I need a battle map. I need all kinds of separate initiatives. What are we planning? Tactical thinking. It was very narrative, and I love what you said, Stephen, that you had this great theater of the mind, MCU Civil War thing going on in your head, and that's exactly what I was going for. So I'm glad that translated without getting too bogged down in the mechanics.
When the two guys like tried to grab us, yeah, I'm just picturing like all three holding hands and just like in sync as one with like eyes closed, just drink. Just considering how well we roll,
Yeah.
Like
weird dance move kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't roll initiative so that we didn't have like Aquila. I was like, no.
Yeah, that went exactly as I hoped it would.
Yeah, I was not sure that spell was going to go off in time.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't know if I should. I'm going to keep holding hope.
Yeah, I mean, there was a chance that it wouldn't. In which case, the mage would have tried to bamf out with D. Maliba. Of course, she could have resisted because normally teleportation effects require the target to be willing. Most of them. So.
Yeah, I'm really curious who that was.
Yeah, I did mention that briefly. The Arcane Census is not supposed to have agents or any sort of jurisdiction outside of their campus. So that was a big deal.
Yeah.
Something that will come up in the future. I mean, it makes sense that probably most of you don't know that.
Would I know?
Aquila, you'd know about that. Arcane Census are not allowed to have agents. I mean, you're basically the Arcane Census agents. That's why the queerance exists.
I know. That was why it was like, huh.
Yeah.
But she wasn't in the room when it happened, so
she exactly. It's like I don't know that happened.
Does Sepke know that?
Probably. Being told that if you screw up, a querent would come after you, and being in the Arcane Census, just not knowing of any other Arcane Census agents or whatnot. I mean, they definitely have their own on-campus like security, and whatnot, but they have no jurisdiction outside of the Arcane Census campuses. Is basically what they come down to. I mean, any mage, any graduate of the Arcane Census could be a formidable, magic wielder and be able to enforce their will or the state's will or whatnot. But it comes down to jurisdiction, and they don't have any jurisdiction outside of the campuses. So that will be important. Because that was a
Oh.
big political move for Kana and the Arcane Census to make.
It didn't really work.
And it didn't work. Yeah, that's even worse for them.
Whoops.
Yeah, they played a big card and it didn't work out.
Yeah, so that's something that would be useful information
Yeah.
to disseminate.
Yeah.
Okay, if I can take down the Arcane Census and set up 2 Warlock-friendly states in one...
Yep.
Because Rosh Kair is probably fairly Warlock-friendly, to some degree.
They probably just don't care.
Yeah, well, hey, at this point, not caring is Warlock-friendly.
Yeah.
And then D. Maliba said her nation won't have that prejudice.
Yeah. Anders making some
No,
friends.
she said it. What she means is, what she says is what she says. What she does is what matters.
Sure.
Yeah. But it seems like she's probably half a Warlock anyway.
Ander, to be fair, Ander has been a very agreeable little servant boy.
I know.
So I'm sure that's going to be rewarded. You can.
He is so whipped.
That also means she doesn't really need to play politics with him. So far, he's been willing to work with her with no real promises of anything. So
I mean, that's the best way to play politics when you're in over your head. Just bow and keep going until you find a way in.
That's pretty much what he's been doing.
Yeah.
Like, okay, she obviously thinks highly of herself. If I play the role of
Now you're getting it.
friendly little courtier, at least it keeps her off my back and keeps her happy with me until I figure out what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you've at some point got to figure out what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah, well,
the gamble is knowing when to actually start playing. Because if you wait too long, you miss your shot and things get taken out of your control.
One hopes you realize, but
he'll realize it about the point she puts a collar on him.
There are worse fates.
Yeah, so you say. I mean, sure worked out well for Perseus.
Perseus was trying to put a... Oh, no. Yeah. Well, to be fair, Perseus seemed like he thought he could control her. According to her, anyway.
Yeah. Well, sure. Yeah. In the beginning, yeah, definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At least according to her, and once again, grain of salt, but it's not an unlikely story that...
No, but it's also... He first knew her before she had any real power.
Mm-hmm.
You've met her when she has some.
And it didn't work out for him well, though, because he tried to control her, and there was resentment.
Mm-hmm. And of course, I mean, towards the end where you guys got in and the tomb and all, he was again caught between two very strong compulsions. So Perseus hasn't been fully himself for a long time.
Yeah.
Good 2,000 plus years.
Yeah.
And thankfully now I'm not as compelled to leave my mind open to her, so that helps too.
Yeah. So with that, everybody split into a few different directions. We got back to the Weavers finally, and Dean and Liba got to have a conversation with them that I'm glad I had. I'm glad I had that go off the screen, because I contemplated whether I wanted to have that on screen or off screen, and I think if everybody was involved, I would have done it on screen. But I think it freed up a lot of time for more important things than me talking with myself, because I never know how much you guys are going to engage.
Fair.
Because also, to be fair, you guys wouldn't know whether it's your place to talk or not. Yeah, so it made sense that was a conversation that she had as a queen to her subjects on their own.
Private.
But there's definitely a sense that you guys need to figure out some way for this plan of yours to work shortly. Because she's still on board with going to meet Moriadessa, because there's a lot of upside. But if you take too long or she doesn't feel like it's feasible anymore, she will choose to just stay in Sanket and blend into the background with the Weavers.
Yeah. Which I'm honestly trying to prevent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I
now you
said-
can do it a bit more clear-headedly.
Like I said, the irony was, I was like, okay, I can stay within the compulsion and still get her the fuck out of here because she wants
They
to
were
go.
going to ambush us either way.
Yeah.
Fair. But now she has like been handed to them, ironically, by the circumstances.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. It's like, I mean, I knew that's where you were going to take her because it's the only place that made sense.
At that point, it was like, well, shit.
Yeah.
There's only one
Now
place
you
we're
have
going
to.
now. Because Ander, if nothing else, Ander just needs a safe place to hole up until he can get a handle on this.
Yeah.
And they will probably be happy with me if I bring her by.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Sure enough.
You bring a
Super
queen back
happy.
to her people, they're gonna take note. Yeah, so I'm definitely tracking a lot of factional dispositions right now.
Yeah, how's it going for us?
Real up and down. And, I mean, like I said, you're kind of split in half right now. So, I mean, and Anders made a lot of positive points with the Weavers, but a lot of negatives with the government.
Yeah, well. Once again, they weren't big fans of me anyway.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I mean, they didn't know to not
Right.
be big fans of you, but
If they knew.
Yeah, if they knew.
There in part of the
Yeah.
casting ritual.
yeah. I mean, the casting ritual. Yeah, with Anders' usual MO of just being this mundane guy, wouldn't hold up. I mean, it's possible that you could play off that you had enough arcane potential from your limited time actually studying to be a wizard, and play it off like that.
That was my plan, actually.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
If it came to it.
Because any sort of spellcaster to any degree can provide arcane can pool their arcane ability into circle magic.
Considering, at that point I was pretty much just a battery anyway.
Yeah, you
Like,
weren't
I wasn't
actively casting.
No,
Yeah.
I was just opening up essentially a conduit to be siphoned off of.
Yeah. Yep.
So that exactly was my plan. If the things didn't go off, to be like, I tried to be a wizard for a little while and it didn't work, but I knew enough to try and help.
Mm.
Still just a normal old Ander.
So I think there's still a lot of ways that you guys can squirm your way out of trouble.
Getting out is not the hardest part. It's trying to get out while not being fugitives.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the part I got to figure out.
Yeah.
And then we've got to figure out any sort of reconciliation
Mm-hmm.
As in
with the group.
with the group. Yeah.
Well,
Nice.
there is a way for Tali.
Said Anders not especially upset at Aquila. It honestly is not that. In the moment, he was upset, but like
Okay.
over time, he was upset that you cracked about as easily as he thought you would. And it's like, well, I also thought that might happen, so
Yeah.
it's already happened once.
Like I said, she either ignores authority or just gives in.
Possibly a little upset that you didn't think it through a little bit more, but
Ah,
surprised.
okay.
It is, though, very fortunate, something to mention that I forgot, very fortunate that you did get Demoliba out of the room when you did, because Kana was definitely suspicious, because she followed up on the research you guys did into Demoliba, so she knew the likeness and knew the history, and she was starting to get a little suspicious. Orentius was initially, very critical, and then she charmed him. That's what that was.
Yeah,
he
I
got
figured that.
Figured.
Oh, Demoliba charmed.
charmed. Yeah,
Tius?
Demoliba charmed
yeah.
Orentius. Yeah.
Oh, I missed that.
They
Oh,
locked
yeah.
eyes
He
for
was
like a good.
super charmed.
Oh,
Yeah, she prepped two things last episode when she was doing that
yeah.
stuff, and you guys like, what are you doing? She prepped two things: a very simple charm that she could just get out, and the beginnings of that teleportation spell.
And it should be pointed out, Ander did not make any comment about her doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because he was okay. Like, yeah, go ahead.
contingencies.
I like having the backup plan. And if she happened to do it, it gives him
Plausible
plausible
deniability. Yep. Say it with me. Plausible deniability. Love it.
Well, Ander really is getting somewhat Machiavellian here.
Yeah.
You're learning.
Yeah. So
Survival pushing him to the.
but,
I don't hate
it's
it
like,
either.
so, here's the thing. I don't know that Aquila would have cracked if Black hadn't been there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I will say now, you totally could have just asked for a sidebar with Black.
Fair. It's like she didn't think they would.
Yeah.
Because it's like, wow, that doesn't seem super sus at all.
I mean,
It's
not to drive
talking
home.
to another querent.
Yeah, not to put too fine of a point on it, but again, that querent title gives you a lot of leeway.
Yeah, but then I also know they technically work for the census.
Yeah. Yeah. Kana's not that high up. I don't know if you, I mean, it makes sense that you don't know that. You also don't know where in the hierarchy of the querent order you and Black sit.
I know where I sit.
Right. He doesn't know where you
like,
sit, but you know where you sit.
way
Yeah,
down
yeah.
I know, it's like I sit out here.
Yeah, pretty much. So I mean, it
In the
made sense
corner.
that you didn't risk it, but it was definitely an option. So
Mhm.
you know, going forward, if you ever feel like I'd really just like to talk to this one person, I'm not going to say it doesn't hurt to ask, but you always can ask.
Fair.
Yeah. Because that would have went way differently if you just divulged that to.
And that was the thing. That
Black.
was what I wanted to do. But like I said, I didn't think they would leave.
Yeah. Because you brought that up, and it was like a political gold rush. Like, just everybody in the room was like, okay, we need to act on this now before anybody else locks her down. And because, I mean, it was that stereotypical, like, three guys running for the same ball, and they all collide and fall over, and the ball gets away. It's exactly what happened.
That's also what panicked Ander, just hearing, like, oh crap, boots.
Yeah.
Lots of them.
Yeah, again, it's one of those. It's like, wow, that was not the way to approach that.
No, I mean, it was a very military way to approach it.
It was, but it was just one of those. It's like, well, again, because I hear that and it's like,
well, you have the military on one side. You have a bunch of knowledge and power greedy professors on another side, and then you have actual secret agents.
I know. I went with the secret agents.
And that's the funny thing, because if it was like done quietly, because the thing, Ander panicked to some degree, just because
it was exactly what I was going for.
The plan has gone, up in smoke.
The plan has gone.
Yeah, it's done. And just it'd be one thing if Black had walked in and been like, "She's coming with me," calmly. But and then the other thing is that if the order had gotten her, I do trust more that they would just make her disappear. Whereas, yes, the census and the state are going to try to use that for something.
Yeah.
And honestly, if it comes down to letting them use her for something, or just getting her to Rosh Kair where she's kind of out of the way, probably better for her and better for me. Well, fuck it.
Yeah.
If they're gonna try and be hypocritical and use her for something, well, I'm just gonna do something that helps everyone.
Yes. I mean, the state, like Arentius may have talked pretty, mostly for Kana's sake, but in his mind, she needs to go. She is a threat to the Empire. somebody claiming rights to the throne. I mean, you can't have that in an empire. No, she's got to go.
Well, to be fair, I also don't really give two shits about
Right.
the Empire.
Right. But yeah, the
I mean,
census, they want to study. They're all about study, and
Yeah.
the Querent Order is a lot more practical. They'll contain and try to get what they can, but if it's too big of a threat, too high of a risk, they will just take her out.
Eliminate.
Yeah.
And honestly, even if she was just straight up evil, like, I don't feel good about giving someone over to be turned into a lab rat.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't want. That's like I don't want the census to get a hold of her either.
I'd rather Akila's order just kill her than let her be a lab rat. And that's if she was terrible.
Yeah.
And I still am not convinced of how deep down terrible she really is. But that's partly Anders willing to give people a chance.
Who shouldn't? Who shouldn't be?
Yeah, well, I'd
And-
rather be wrong 9 out of 10 times and get it right for one than put the one down when they shouldn't have been.
And this is why the world is going to end.
But I will have tried to make it better in the process.
And failed.
Good intentions.
But I can sleep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Isn't it what's the saying about the
Surprisingly.
path to hell paved with good intentions?
Yep.
If you have bad intentions, then you're good.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, if you
No.
have bad intentions, things usually do work out.
It's true.
I mean,
yeah.
at least for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, or your necromancer gets killed by a prom.
Yeah. Yeah, so it really was just a lot of the group trying to figure out where everybody was at, both physically and mentally, and as far as their plan, and try to move forward after that. And it didn't, at least to me, feel like it got stalled out.
No.
I think it really made sense that everybody had to go back and forth, didn't know who to trust, didn't know how to talk to each other. And we did have some of the same conversations multiple times, but it felt like it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will say,
Because when
go ahead.
Go ahead. No,
I was gonna say, I don't think at any point Ander didn't trust Tali. It was just, if you're around, I don't know who you're around and who will be able to figure something out from what's said. I trust Tali. I don't necessarily trust everyone who Tali might be in the presence of.
That's why I went ahead and let you know, by the way, I'm with Akila, so...
And while I don't hold it against Akila, I also believe that if she knew where we were, she would lead everyone down on us trying to get Dimaliba and do right by her order.
She would.
Yeah.
She totally would.
Yeah.
And then I would have to be mad, because then that would be directly screwing me over, as opposed to just can't keep her damn
She
mouth
doesn't want to screw you over.
Yeah, you're both betting on two very different horses right now.
Yeah.
And they can't
Yeah.
both win.
Nope.
Yeah.
So that's going to be really interesting to see how we reconcile that. And I hope it works out. I hope we don't get bogged down in at an impasse where neither of the two sides are willing to.
Well, to be fair,
give
if
in.
we can't, my
Somebody's
plan
gotta
was to
give
just hopefully have Sevki either teleport just the 3 of us or just the 5 of us and leave Akila and Suncat.
Yeah,
It's her
that
home!
would make my job so much harder.
It's her home!
Yeah,
It's
No,
That is
her
true.
home is up in the mountains.
well, it's closer to your home.
Yeah.
Eh,
Honestly, if we couldn't come to an agreement, that seems like the nicest option.
the nicest place to ditch her, sure.
Well, as opposed to trying to fight her over something.
Yeah. I mean, very true, very true.
like,
Like,
at that point, she would probably want to
it-
hunt you down.
And it gives her, well, I was gonna say it gives you some degree of, excuse as well. Like, they just disappeared. I don't know where they went.
Mhm.
Except I probably know where you're going.
Time to spearhead that Inquisition.
Oh, I know. At which point it's like, contact Adder he has Xander's blood.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming he's not dead.
Yeah, there is still the price that Aquila paid. We don't know who that is yet.
Yes. Yep.
I know. I did have a thought of it's like wanting Tali to contact Adder, message him, be like, "Hey, could you check if he's alive?"
Yep.
Like, nope.
It's like I said, that will just
your actions. Sweat.
Tali's not that mean.
You haven't seen Tali angry yet.
Never seen Tali mean.
You won't like Tali when she's angry.
I am really curious.
I've seen you be kind of angry after people said things about you that you didn't like.
Yeah, Tali was angry about that.
I really am so very curious as to who ended up getting got by that spell.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can't ditch Aquila if you want to find out.
Well, depending on who it was from that.
I know.
There's some big names on that list.
There were. I'll be honest, though, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about them.
Yeah. Yep.
There's only, I think, like 3 that Ander cared about.
Yeah.
There were 3 that would spark a fight.
Yeah.
Like 3 of them, it's going to come to PvP, just because Ander was very insistent that this is a bad idea, and those would have been the people he had been worried about. So I am going to be upfront about that. If it was, there were a couple names on that list that we are going to have an actual PvP fight, or someone's leaving the group.
Yeah.
It's not going to. We won't be able to work together.
We'll demolish that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Blow it up.
Blow it up.
Thankfully, I still think that was the minority of the list. Most of them was like, I don't really give a fuck.
Well, because there were.
Well, we have covered this in the past after show, so we really don't need to rehash it.
Okay. All right. Fair.
Yeah. There were like 7 people you've never met.
Yeah. Well, I do think that. I was going to bring up it was fun to go back to the Black Void with Aquila. That was fun going back there. Because I knew as soon as you were like, okay, I'm going with him to the church, and then Tali was like, okay, let's head to the church. I'm like, that's just not gonna work. I mean, eventually you got out of the abyss and met up, but yeah, I mean, you go to the door and disappear into darkness somewhere, and Tali goes to the door and opens it up, and it's the inside of the church. What did you expect?
Well, yeah, but it was one of those words like, as soon as it's like, pulls out the key, it's like, oh, we're doing this again.
Mm-hmm.
That was from the solo RP.
Yes, yeah, that was from the Aquila solo episode.
The 3-hour-long solo.
Yeah.
Solos, they're intense.
Weird sounds. I don't know what they are, but they're distracting. Yeah, so we learned a little bit more about Mix Black, and definitely the fact that he's a Death Seeker, and that there are other Death Seekers that he can call upon.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't gonna. I mean, if it really comes down to you against the group, if you want to requisition a whole squad of Death Seekers, I mean, that's a possibility.
But I don't want to fight the group.
Yeah, I mean, once again, that is eking dangerously close to PvP territory, which is can create bad blood going all the way up to player level, and the system is not built for PvP, so I'd really never discourage it.
Part of me really wants this to come down to like a Civil War style, like, one-on-one. The problem is that would not go good.
I'd be cool if there was something like that where you both amass troops on one side and they clash while you guys meet in the middle and deal with it your own way. Like, have all kinds of combat going on in the background.
The problem is we can't deal with it our own way, because either I'm going to get slaughtered in close range, or I figure out some way to just, like, keep her at distance and just slowly whittle her down.
But the thing is, Aquila can do distance too.
Well, we're not getting into a PvP discussion. That's
Right.
that's a rabbit hole where I'm not jumping in.
My point was like, yeah, I really like. Part of me wants to have that visual Civil War, like Aquila and Ander have a slugfest, and at the end of it, just exhausted or like, fine.
If we
We're
agreed to
fine.
do it narratively, we could make that really interesting, but that'd be something we'd have to plan out narratively ahead of time and know how it's going to work out, because the system does not facilitate PvP. It would just come down to a slugfest, in which it comes down to initiative and range is really what it comes down to.
Right.
So
yeah, I don't want an actual mechanical slugfest.
We'd have to do it narratively.
Forever.
We'd have to do it narratively, which takes more planning and a lot of suspension of mechanics.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely open to it. I'd love that.
I almost do kind of want them to have that duke it out moment to get it out of the system kind of thing, and then at the end, like, you know, like at the end of it, you come to an agreement, you realize things, but like, I feel like there's been a build up for long enough that they need that moment of catharsis.
I can see Ander lobbing off Eldritch blasts while Aquila charges forward, takes out a bow and shoots. Then she gets enveloped in darkness and weird Eldritch tentacles start battering about, and she runs out of the darkness and leaps into the air and comes crashing down with her scimitars. And Ander does that whole entropic thing where he phases to one side or the other. And it could be a whole really cool cinematic fight as long as we don't actually roll any dice.
And then
the moment he pulls out his armor, she would definitely put some distance.
Yeah, so
she's been hit by that before.
Yeah.
I don't want to do another Omen just slow whittle down
No.
Because that is what you would have to do with her.
Yeah, and that was not fun at all.
We're not gonna come down to that.
I'll say it's like it would be even more whittling with Aquila just because of the way she's built. She is built to not die.
Right. So that's definitely something we can think about. Like I said, that would take a lot more planning, so that really comes down to if we have time to plan that out before next episode. We can broach that off camera. I think it'd be cool. I don't think it's necessary whatsoever, but I think it'd be cool. So if we can, it'd be something to look into. But there are definitely other ways to go about that. And even if we do plan something like that, you know, if it doesn't come up because you guys go about things differently, then that it doesn't come up.
Yeah.
Definitely an option to hold into the back pocket. But if we don't purposely plan something and it does look like it's going that way, I will probably, with everybody's permission, drop into a cutscene and just narrate it myself.
That's fine. Because, frankly, what you're doing there was pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
For off the cuff.
Well, that covers, from what I remember, the main points of the episode. I just wanted to make a comment to Taylor. The problem is, you really can only land, like, one hit, honestly. More than one, and you're probably taking him out, period, anyway.
She can put out some damage.
More of my point was, if it comes to a narrative thing, don't be upset if it's him dodging a lot and doing stuff, and because really, if we were being honest with it, like, you'd get a couple good hits in, and that would be enough to, like, equal a bunch of narrative stuff from Ander, probably.
Yeah. What is Ander's HP?
Way less than yours.
73.
Yeah, 73 compared to your 128.
And an armor class that you could sneeze at.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine is a bit beefier, especially as she transforms and she goes up to 18 HC.
But
so you have
PvP
to keep
discussions aside.
You have to keep Ander's inaccuracy with his Eldritch blasts.
PvP discussions aside. I did really like the maybe we can pray to Moriadessa.
That was fun.
That was great. I was waiting for Ander to try it so that Zagat could be like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Nope.
I did not rip you out of her demiplane, so you can flirt with this. Yeah.
I have learned a lesson about religion. Ander wants none of it.
Yeah. But it was.
He has picked his side.
Steven, as it turns out.
it was great how Christian took that with Schleva. Real Schleva how that went.
Hey, Lori, it's me, Schlieve.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
God,
I mean, that joke was just so good.
I lost it.
We all did.
Yeah.
Great. That was awesome.
It's one of those where I was glad I was muted because it's just,
I muted myself during part of it because it's like I can't keep it in.
also, I was already muted because I wasn't there, and I'm trying to mostly, if I'm not there, I'm not there.
And I did like the idea to reach out to Moriadessa with the sending spell. It's definitely an interesting use of the sending spell, because sending does work across planes, and this is the first time I've ever heard of anyone attempting to contact a deity with it.
To be fair, we also didn't realize she'd gone full on deity yet.
Well, some level of deity, wherever she may fall on the scale.
Hi, Margaret.
Yours is high. She says
Hi.
hi back.
Okay. Arlene said it too.
Colleen's
I
never met
assumed
her.
that I was glued there. Well, I can still say hi. I've said hi to her
I know.
before.
I mean, seriously, Steven.
I will tell her you said hi
Say
later.
hi to complete strangers.
Thank you. I mean, no, that's how you said. It's like that's how my mom said hi to you.
Take 15.
Okay,
All right. Yes. Yeah. Let's
Sorry,
try
sorry.
this here. Anyway. Well, I think that just about covers anything. Unless you guys want to, unless there's anything more you want to mention, any insights that you have.
Yeah, I was really kind of hoping the Moriadessa thing might work.
Mm-hmm.
Would have been
I
cool.
know you
That would
were.
have been great.
Yeah, she decided to answer the phone because it came down to whether it managed to pierce, whether it rang loud enough for her to hear, basically, and whether she felt like it or not. So she picked up, but as was explained before, she's not in the same position to interact with the mortal realm as she once was,
Fair.
because she's got to play those god politics, putting Tessidren in his place. You know.
I did
If
realize
he
we
goes
forgot
down,
to ask her
she
about,
goes up.
I did realize we forgot to ask her about the gate address, unfortunately.
Oh yeah.
It was unfortunate, but also helpful that Stephanie wasn't here, so I could use Sevgi as both a mouthpiece and ensure that the option for teleportation came up. Because I've broached the topic with Stephanie, and I was it would have been interesting how that would play, and it will still be interesting because you still have to potentially find a teleportation circle. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing how Stephanie goes about getting access to a teleportation address.
I really kind of wish I knew that beforehand, because we would not have gone back in the city. I would have tried to reach out and find that information before we got back in. Like, all right, let's just go and do that right here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, another conversation nobody knew to ask about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
That's fine.
How are we supposed to know when she doesn't tell us?
Yeah. It's a brand new spell. Like in her mind, it's all completely theoretical. Like this could work or it could all explode. So,
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
I mean, sorcerers, it either works or it all explodes.
You can't have both?
Um,
Unless it's an
for
explosion.
a fraction of a second, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you could teleport and then explode.
Or what if you teleport and explodes where you left?
I mean,
It's
she
the
already
Misty
does that.
Step thing.
Yeah.
That's true. I forgot.
Okay, well, we've hit that probably 45-minute mark, and we've covered just about anything. So before we get stuck in even more tangents, let's be done with this. I think we covered the episode quite nicely. So once again, thank you for supporting us on Patreon. Thanks for watching the episodes. Do continue to tell other people about us, both at the show, here at Patreon, Twitter, Discord. I'm getting better at social media and responding to people. So, reach out, say hello, and we'll talk shop and talk some people's ascension. But as always,
Talk shit.
yeah, talk heart tomatoes. Yeah. Stay safe, stay healthy, keep having fun, and keep checking back right here at the People's Ascension for all kinds of fun stuff throughout the week. I'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.